Hey everyone, welcome back to the hardcore world. Today I'm taking on the monumental task of cleaning up this ugly starter base and turning it into something a lot less chaotic and more organized. I want to transform the base into a villager oasis complete with unique buildings for a few villager professions. This entire surrounding area is a mess with some ugly starter farms, so I need to get the landscape smoothed out and then clear out the farms before I can transform everything. Let's get to it. Okay, so recently I changed from the vanilla launcher to Modrinth to make all of my mods more manageable, but it created some major issues. My audio sounded like I lived in a tin can, and I also had an issue when the game was in full screen. OBS just recorded a static screen. I did manage to get it all sorted out, but some of the earlier footage from this episode just wasn't usable. Now I'm just clearing out some of the uneven terrain around the area to make it a bit smoother transition between different sections of the base. I'm now building up some large walls that will add a bit more interest and elevation to the area. These elevated areas will soon be home to the Cartographer villagers. I did make a new friend while building the walls. This little guy's walk is hilarious with fresh animations. I wasn't sure I would like this mod, but I was sorely mistaken. I love it. I've gone ahead and cleared out an area behind the cobblestone monstrosity over my shoulder, which is where the new villager breeder will be located. The current villager breeder that I built almost a year ago is such an eyesore. It's time to make something much nicer. Let's jump into it. You can see here the farm section where the two villagers will live, and the front section is where the beds and the baby villagers will drop into the holding area. I used minecarts to move the two villagers over from the old breeder and then drop them into the farm. I've also blocked off the line of sight to the beds since we're not quite ready for more villagers just yet. Now all that's needed is a roof and the villager breeder will be completed. The farm is done and I can finally demolish the ugly starter version. I'm going to need a lot more materials for the other builds I have planned, so I've got to gather more brown mushrooms, oak, and birch. Okay, something is up with this sapling. I can't figure out why it won't grow. Interesting. Okay, there's a bee nest here. I'm in a sparse jungle. I didn't think it was possible for them to appear outside a plains biome. I gotta check this out. I know you can generate a nest if there are flowers within a block of the sapling, but according to the wiki, it can be in any biome with an oak, birch, or cherry sapling, and it's a 5% chance. I got an idea. Let's try and get a few more and build a quick bee farm. I'm just laying out a grid of oak saplings, skipping one block in between each one, and then on the next row I put in a flower on the block that I skip. With the sapling having a flower on all four sides, it will increase our odds of generating a nest. Here we go. There we go, first try and we got one. I'll try to get a few more nests and then we can gather what I already have and build a new bee farm. I've got the main part of the farm built out now. The bamboo blocks are just placeholders for where I'll place the nests when the night comes, and I don't have to worry about losing bees. On the back end, the redstone is super easy. A comparator reads the signal from the nest through the stone block. The nest will give a signal of 5 when it's full. We'll have one dust here, then place 2 stone blocks behind the dispenser and a piece of glass. That will allow the signal to go through the diagonal block. This is fortunately tileable, so I'll have 6 nests for bottles and 6 for shears. The only thing I really have to do is make sure I have plenty of glass bottles. Alright, I've got all the redstone in place and some of the dispensers are filled with shears. You can see some of the redstone is already showing the nest being full. All I have to do is remove and replace the last piece of dust and it will trigger the dispenser, and the honeycomb winds up in the chest. Let's just reset these other 2 and we're all set. The farm is complete, but the exterior isn't up to CraftmasterB standards, but I'll fix that later. Let's go ahead and move on and start working on the other buildings and let it run while I'm working. Let's get the Cartographer House built up first. I've got the area just next to the bee farm cleared out and ready to go. As I mentioned earlier, I want to construct houses for a few of the different types of villagers. This will be home to the cartographers, so I can not only trade away glass panes for emeralds, but I can get my hands on valuable maps like the Woodland Mansion and Trial Explorer maps. I've also got a few other buildings already planned out for farmers and leather workers as well. Alright, the cartographer's house is now completed and I'm just adding in a few extra details to the exterior. Adding in some leaves to look like an overgrown planter box and a few lanterns to light up the area to keep the mobs away. Next up is the farmhouse, but as you can see by the white wool behind me, the iron farm is basically right in the middle of where it will be built. I'll need to get that taken care of first. If we just walk down here, smack the zombie a few times, the villagers will settle down and stop spawning golems. I'll just fill in the hole and remove all of the storage and we can get started building. I'm just laying out the exterior crop farm portion of the build first. The area surrounding the farmhouse is going to need quite a bit of terraforming once the building is in place. There's no need to worry, I'm not planning on leaving these sharp edges, that's not my style. One thing that I'm hyper focused on when I'm using villager trading is not putting them into 1x1 boxes to keep them in place. I've got a few tricks up my sleeves to keep them from roaming around and getting their faces eaten by zombies. I'll show you that later. I'm just finishing up now on the main structure, and I've got some additional details to add to the roof like a chimney and then some lighting around the area. The farmhouse is now completed, but there's no time to sit around. I've still got 2 other buildings to construct. I don't really have a plan yet for what villagers will live here. I really want to find villagers that provide decent trades to get a lot of emeralds. If you have any ideas for which villagers could live here, drop me a comment below. This house has a little bit of a different design with a separate small extension off the side. I have to be very careful when I'm building up high because there's a large crevice off the side here, and it's about a 40 or 50 block drop. From this angle you can see the drop off into the crevice I mentioned before. If you take a look around the rest of the area, you'll see the bee farm and Cartographer's house. In addition, the walls add that extra bit of detail to the surrounding area. The yellow wool is where I'll be adding a network of pathways to walk from building to building. This build is now completed and I think the entire base area is really shaping up. Now it's time to jump back into building the last house for the leatherworkers. Leatherworkers aren't very popular, but I wanted to show them some love because you can trade 1 leather for 1 emerald. That's not great if you're getting leather from cows, but if you have a hoglin farm, you're likely swimming in leather. On the exterior, there's a small animal pen I'll likely add some cows to later on. During construction, a wandering trader decided to visit, and I want to make sure that I keep the villagers in and mobs out. So I've got to put down some berry bushes to make that happen. First though, I need to take care of all these creepers that are hiding in the grass. The villagers and mobs can sense the berry bushes and won't walk over them, but I can, which is super helpful. This little trick will help keep the villagers safe from a zombie horde. I kept the villagers from the iron farm safely tucked away underground, but now it's time to get them into their new digs. I'm going to move these guys up the hill to the Cartographer House. If I use water, I can force them closer to the rail, drop a cart, and off they go. It looks like this guy here ran into a zombie. Let's go ahead and kill the zombie, and then he'll safely make his way back up to the house. Now they're in the house, I need to remove these barrels because we want cartographers, not fishermen. I'll just need to craft some cartography tables, place them down. 3 cartographers ready to trade. First, let's trade some paper to get them up to apprentice level. And then we'll trade glass panes to get them to journeyman. If we're lucky, hopefully one of these fellas has the Trial Explorer map for us. All right, not 1, not 2, but all 3 of our cartographers will sell us a Trial Explorer map. And you can see they're all different. We have map number 9, 11, and 13. This has been quite the grind, but I'm just about done. I want to add more details to the area and connect all of the new houses with pathways. I'm also going to make some major changes to the surrounding area, adding in large rocks, a few fields, and texturing the walls to make them look more natural. The entire area looks so much better now. After I finished terraforming, I decided to build some large custom palm trees to fill out more of the landscape. Now that we're done with terraforming, there's just one more thing to address, the bee farm. I couldn't do all of this work to beautify the area and leave that basic farm sitting there, so I tore it out. I went into creative to make a building to surround the front of the farm so it fits the overall vibe of the base much better. Let's get into it. I really wanted to make something more secure here since the farm is built into the side of the mountain. During construction, I had a creeper drop on me and break a few blocks, but he couldn't hurt me. But that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid. The exterior of the farm is completed and it fits so much better now. I still gotta sort out the storage for the bee farm, but that's a project for another day. After about 300 in-game days, this phase of the base transformation is over, and I am loving it. Check out this view. I've tried to keep the sight lines open so everything is framed much better. The giant palm trees look amazing, except I need to trim the vines on that one. Let's check out the bee farm. I've got my friend Spa Does Redstone working on an auto crafter for me that will craft honey bottles into blocks and then send all the bottles back into the system. This build here is where I need your help to determine what villagers should live here. The farmers are enjoying their new digs. They spend most of their time out here jumping around and enjoying the tropical weather. I put honey blocks around the composter to keep them from jumping in it. And now I can get an unlimited supply of golden carrots from these guys. I think to help generate more emeralds moving forward, I'll build a melon and pumpkin farm. Over here is the last house where the leatherworkers live. Look at these guys jumping away and swimming in the cauldrons. I may have to use the honey block trick here too. They're infatuated with jumping around the trapdoors. They must think they can get out that way. I'll have to find a solution for that. Out the back here, we have a small animal pen that I'll likely add a couple of cows to. That is the tour, and that is a wrap. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're not subbed up, click that subscribe button so you can see what's coming up next for the hardcore world. We're quickly approaching 1,000 days in the hardcore world, so you don't want to miss future episodes. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye, everyone. I'll see you next time.